Okay, well, let's get going. Welcome to the December 1st Hartland Selectboard meeting. It is 5:30. First order of business this evening is we have minutes from the November 17th regular and executive session. I would entertain a motion to approve them.
So moved.
Is there a second?
I'll second.
Thank you. Any discussion? Hearing none, all in favor say aye.
Aye.
Aye. Motion passes. Thank you, Cheyenne. Next item are the orders or accounts payable through today, December 1st. Again,
I'll move we pay the orders through December 1st.
Thank you, Clyde. A second.
Second.
Thank you, Jim. Any discussion?
Yeah, just one.
Trace?
Maybe I can find it. Maybe I can't. Circle it before we do. I'll throw one up.
Yep.
I probably asked this last 3 years in a row. What's COT systems? COT.
That's the land records.
Land records.
Yeah.
So that's our license fee for?
That's an annual payment we make.
Okay.
Yeah.
They changed it up this year to an annual instead of monthly.
Okay.
And what kind of shape is the boiler in at the library?
The boiler at the library is in working shape. It needed like a $10 part.
For 600
Well, it took them a while to diagnose that part, that fix, and then they thought they had tracked it down.
So
And that's why it was closed one day towards the middle of last week too.
So is the ARC mechanical for 647 for that visit?
Correct. No, for 4 visits prior to that.
Oh, okay.
So
I'm just asking about the $1,437 Springfield, town of Springfield, Vermont, and it says one tax, wrong town.
right. I'm gonna let Martin answer that question.
So the state of Vermont sends each town the state property tax credit towards the tax bills. So this taxpayer filled their HS 122 out with the wrong span number. So they moved out of town 2 years ago, used the wrong span number. Usually Vermont doesn't send that money. So they sent us the $1,437 for the previous taxpayer, and they sent $3,801 for the new taxpayer that bought the house. So the town of North Springfield, where they moved to, got $0 after they got a letter stating, or the taxpayer got a letter stating what tax credit they were going to get.
And you gave it to them.
So
We have to give it back to them.
I gave it to the town of North Springfield, but I made the state of Vermont.
Do we have to? What do they do for us?
Give it back.
I made him jump through hoops, and I sent a letter to the current taxpayer of that he owes that money. And if I don't hear back in a few weeks, I'll send another letter.
Oh, because he got over credited.
Correct.
That's correct. He got the 1437 plus his 3801.
What he already spent.
Sorry. Probably.
It was confusing.
John, the United Ag cost for the sidewalk tractor seems very high.
Yep.
Probably half the value of the one thing.
It was the sidewalk tractor.
Yeah.
Yep. So it was just a bunch of kind of miscellaneous repairs that had been stockpiling for a long time, and I believe it also includes a new snow blower for that as well, because the old snow blower frame kept bending on that. So
Do we know the age of that?
that tractor
really new.
we bought 2019, 21. Yeah, it was like it's relatively new.
Okay.
4 years. It hasn't been in the shop since we got it.
Yeah, which worries me. The maintenance schedules or lack thereof are beginning to worry me.
Well, so I think this has been kind of a bunch of small stuff that needed to be taken care of in the snowblower.
Okay.
Together.
Yeah, I can see the snowblower would be at least half that cost.
Yeah.
Okay. Okay. Any other questions on, all in favor, say aye. Aye. Motion passes. Thank you. I have two adjustments to the agenda. One is I would like to add under new business a discussion of the winter road operations. There was the usual beginning of the season questions. So let's make sure we take a look at it, and we want to become familiar with it. We can have that discussion under new business. The second is we have fire and rescue with us tonight, so we'll add them to the first item under old business before we jump into the rest of the public review.
Just a procedural question. Do we need to vote on that, or is it just we add it?
We vote on it.
Okay. Then make a motion that we add the two items that Phil's mentioned to the agenda.
Is there a second?
Well, I'll second it.
Okay, thank you, Trace.
Discussion.
Thanks, Jim, for catching up, and Tom for clarifying. Any public comments? Grace, is there anyone out there? Nope. Okay, fire and rescue, you guys are on.
I'll go first for Alan Beebe. I don't know what his budget is, but I know that it has not changed. So from the volunteer rescue squad, which operates financially independent from the volunteer fire department and rescue squad, there is no change to his budget.
Okay. Great.
I want to say it's in the 14,500 range, it has been for quite some years. And a good chunk of that gets set aside every year towards new equipment, like a new vehicle purchase. They've been able to do that with cash on hand because it's just a Suburban. It's not a fire truck. Any questions on that I can bring back to Alan, but he's not able to cover that.
Okay.
As far as the fire department, in 2025 we were funded at $92,000, up from $80,000 the year before. And the only increase we made was to add the chief stipend to try to make it less painful. We level funded everything else. And the chief stipend has been $12,000, and then there's a clerical stipend with Kim Beebe, who's doing our secretarial services, of $2,400 or $200 a month. Last year we went from $92,000 up $30,000 to $122,000. And this year we're proposing going up $11,600 to $133,600. And I can kind of hit the highlights of the increases real quick. John, I sent this to you. I don't know if you ever shared it with the select board.
No, because we had unanswered questions. There were still unanswered questions.
Okay. Well, there probably will be still tonight, but I'll try to go through this real quick. So there's 15 line items or so, and I'm happy to make a copy of this or just ask John to forward what we had before. We're gonna, Kim's been level funded at $200 a month for forever, and we're gonna take her up $600 over the year to $3,000 a year for the, there's a new system required for entering fire data, and it's just time for an adjustment. So we made a very modest adjustment to Kim's stipend. The chief's stipend is staying the same at $1,000 a month or $12,000 per year, no change. The uniforms, we have a bunch of new members, as I mentioned the last time I was here, and we have not made a uniform purchase in a number of years because other expenses took priority. We have a line item this year for 2,000. We have an increase from 1,500 to 3,500 to try to get our whole membership into the uniforms. That is separate from turnout gear, which is the next line item. We've been at around $10,000 in previous years, and then we upped it to $16,000, but spent 10 last year from what I remember when we bought the turnout gear. And now we have a bunch of members that are wearing 10-plus-year-old turnout gear. So we're at $17,500. The cost of a new set of turnout gear is It used to be $3,000, now it's like $3,500 when you count the helmet and the boots and stuff. The NFPA says that we should be replacing that gear every 10 years, and we usually stretch that a little bit longer than that. So that's a, you know, one of the higher line items is the $17,500. That's up $1,500 from the prior year. The next item is electricity, which we've gotten pegged pretty well at $3,500 a year. That supports both fire stations, so we're not changing that. Telephone internet, we've added my old non-emergency number of 436-2222 now goes to a phone tree and allows you to reach out to any one of the officers for non-emergency, and we can add other numbers like town if we want to that. And that costs a little bit more, so we put a $500 increase there. So going from $3,000 to $3,500 on the phones. There are other phone costs that I believe are in there, Martin, and you can help me on this. We have an iPad in the fire truck, and I think the rescue squad has an iPad too, and those both have a Verizon contract for mapping and response. It's a helpful tool. $43 a month. $43 a month. Yeah. Okay. So I believe that's being covered under the telephone internet. And then we also pay for telephone internet at the fire station, so that's the fire station, so that's in there. North Hartland does not have a phone, and nor does it need one. Radio communications, we upped by $2,600, and that's in anticipation of a new truck. Ongoing pagers cost, these pagers cost $600 a piece that everybody carries. And then some of our mobile radios are overdue for replacement in our 7 different trucks that we have. And we're anticipating outfitting the new truck with both a radio and what's called a mobile repeater, which allows our portable radios to get boosted up to the power of a mobile radio. So a $2,600 increase in radio communications. Am I going too slow? I keep going? No. All right. The next several items, office supplies, training, and fire school, both at $1,000 a month, no change there. $1,000 a year, no change there. Fire prevention, we've been level funded at $1,000 a month. This is for buying the fire safety trinkets that we hand out at fire safety training at the school. We're upping that modestly to by $250 to match just sort of what the going rate is on those knickknacks. New equipment covers a host of basically firefighting equipment, whether it's a new axe, battery-powered tools. We're talking about battery-powered vent fan coming up on the new truck. So we're going up $2,000 from $10,000 to $12,000, and that is an area that we have underspent on in an effort to try to keep our apparatus on the road. So a lot of these items that are high-ticket items, we have not been beating our budget. We've been under spending to make up for the over expense on the vehicle maintenance over the last several years. The next item is building upkeep and repairs. Chet Pacio, big shout out to him, has done an amazing job at keeping our fire stations up to snuff, whether it's putting new siding on, putting septic alarms on so it's not water on the floor before we know there's a problem. He helped out with some of the maintenance stuff. He's been doing great. We're actually decreasing from $10,000 a year to $8,000 a year. That's the one decrease that we are making because our buildings are in really good shape. Also, thanks to the town for helping with the furnace upgrades at both fire stations this year. Security, we have cameras and other security stuff that I won't go into too much detail about, and there's a subscription fee for those, so that's staying like $1,000 a year. Insurance is one thing that I don't have great historical data on. Right. And so we've been level funded at $9,000 a year, and I'm just not changing it, but I don't know what our actuals are. And I know that it doesn't take much for somebody to slip and fall on ice or chains going up a ladder to do a chimney fire before we have a sort of a recurring workers' comp claim, and it takes a while for that to sort of that tail to wear off. So I think we're in good shape, and we're probably paying a little more than we need to there, but we could go do a little more digging on that.
That's good. Can I just probe on that for a second?
Sure.
Who covers this?
So VLCT covers, it's in the town's VLCT plan, and then I break out the fire department, and the fire department reimburses the town.
Okay, but no question about the coverage, we've got it.
Oh, yeah, no coverage at all, yeah, no, we're covered through VLCT, and I break out, admin, highway, and the fire department.
Great.
And there's no employees, so we have no workers' comp for the employees, because there are no employees.
Okay.
And so it's just property and liability.
I think the fire department may be covering the rescue squad on the insurance too. I'm not sure if it gets broken out further.
No, that's as tight as I can break it up.
Yeah, so there are some things that the fire department just sort of covers as a host to the rescue squad. I think this is one of them.
Great, all right, thank you.
John, just saying with insurance, does the insurance cover the cost? We were just joking before about fire trucks going off the road, but does it cover the vehicles themselves?
Yes.
It does.
Yes. Yep, they all have insurance cards and no different than a town dump truck.
And I believe the apparatus, like the expensive items that are in the fire truck.
Yeah, great.
They pay to pro as much, but if somebody gets hurt, is that also covered through the LCT?
Yes.
Okay.
Good question. The next item is heating oil, which we've been leveled at $8,000, and it looks like we're probably performing okay. But as John mentioned, we now are propane at both fire stations, and we're hoping, we know that propane is a slightly lower BTU per gallon, but I'm not sure how we're going to do on budget other than expect to have to pay less. So this would be another really interesting place to look at actuals over time and then see what the step change is for these two new furnaces. So we're conservatively just keeping that level funded at $8,000, and that's to cover both fire stations. The next item is mutual aid dues and memberships. We know, so that's been $2,000, and that basically covers there's an association that I'm actually a board member of called the Mount Ascutney Repeater Association. We have two radio systems, one in the Sheriff's Tower at Green Mountain, down in Claremont, and one on Mount Ascutney, and we pay rent to them, and there's an annual dues due to the organization that runs that, and they are going to up their dues by $1,000. We've been advised, so we're upping that. So that's $1,000 increase there. Truck equipment and maintenance. We did over the years we went from $10,000 to $30,000. Jim actually asked, is that enough? Is that going to cover you? And my answer was, I hope so, but we'll see. We're kind of plateauing that, so we're upping that to $32,350. That's a $2,350 increase that we're hoping sort of trims us off where we need to be. And we're also not doing emergency repairs. We're doing sort of strategic repairs now and putting off things that can wait a year as needed. But I think we're doing really well, and that seems to be about the right number for the fleet that we have right now. Only three more, thank you for your patience. SCBA, $3,000 a year. That's for a company to come down and test our breathing air compressor system, check our air packs, do fit testing with our masks, and buy an occasional new mask for a new member. We're upping that by $500 this year. Fuel for the trucks, we're keeping level at $3,500, no change there. And food for responders, we're increasing by $300 because we find that food is very motivating for our department. So that brings us up again from $122,000 last year to $133,600, or an $11,600 or 10% increase.
It's a lot of information.
I was going to put it in the slides, but I didn't have to.
Slides make me sleepy.
So we're gonna get a copy of that?
Yeah, well, I'll send you a copy. I think there were some lingering questions that, on like the electricity and the fuel oil and things like that.
Yep.
Because we put in new furnace systems at both stations in the past year.
You've gone from oil to propane.
Right, and we don't know what that looks like, but similar to like the
1970s furnace oil.
Right.
To 2025.
So there might be some things we just don't know.
Right, so this year I think it makes sense to keep it the same, much like electricity at Martin Memorial, we put in the heat pump, like we don't know what that's gonna look like in terms of fuel versus electricity costs, so we'll keep it the same this year and adjust it next year in the budget.
That'd be great.
Okay. Are there any questions?
So again, we had amended the policy a few meetings ago so that the fire department and rescue squad, if they make an appropriation change, don't need to collect signatures. So we asked John or Alan and Scott in the future to come and present to the board the budget
But
change.
we still need to put it on the ballot for town meeting, right? That's our job to make sure.
The appropriation, yes, right, correct. It remains as one of the appropriations in that article at town meeting. They simply don't need to go collect signatures like any of the other social service
Let me rephrase
organizations
the
would have
question.
to.
Do we put it on as an appropriation, or do we put it on as a separate article unto itself?
Right now, it would be included as an appropriation.
Okay.
We could break it out.
It's its own article. No, it's its own article.
Yeah.
Because it's a different amount, so the fire.
Oh, sorry, this year it's a different amount, right?
Yes.
That's right. It's an appropriation, yeah. Yeah, correct.
Okay.
Because of the change.
Okay. Well, I was going to ask the impact on the whole budget, but why don't we see if there's any more questions?
But the number is baked in right now, the budget that we have.
Correct, the 133,600 is the number that's in the budget.
Okay,
That's in front of you for discussion.
okay, great.
What page?
That's on page 10 of 12 under general fund expenses. Appropriations starts on page 9 of 12 at the bottom. Thanks, John.
Yeah.
Okay, well, thank you.
The only other thing I would point out is there are other fire department expenses that I'm not capturing in my operating budget. This is probably an offline discussion with you, but there's dispatching fees and ambulance contracts. And probably other things that.
The equipment, the fire reserve.
Right.
Right.
So this is a piece of like what it takes us to operate, but the town has been historically contributing to other things that we essentially.
Covering those administrative type of.
Right, ambulance contracts with Woodstock, Hartford,
Yes.
and Windsor, the $60,000 a year for the fire equipment reserve fund and dispatch.
Okay.
So we're putting 60 a year into the equipment fund,
62,
aside from what's,
62, 5, 68.
okay,
Yeah.
that's aside from what's in the fire department.
Aside from what's,
Appropriation.
right. That, just like John said, that 133,600 is simply operations. SCBA.
So maybe I misheard you. So what was there, equipment repair line in there? It's not an equipment
There is an
fund,
equipment repair
but
line.
not an equipment fund.
Correct.
Okay, right, thanks.
Yeah, so we're covering somewhere on the order of an additional $120,000, $130,000 a year in additional fire expenses per year as well.
Okay.
So we gotta figure out if we're putting enough money in the equipment fund.
In the equipment fund, right. At this point, arguably, as apparatus continues to get significantly more expensive, that the answer to that is no. But
You don't
Go
know
ahead.
the balance offhand, do you?
It's in the
Guess-
280-ish
Yeah.
thousand
280.
range.
And what's the new truck cost?
Don't ask.
I don't know if I want to answer this on the record, but,
more than that.
it's, what did Garth say, it's 600?
600,
We were looking at what we're calling out for specs, which is a 4-man cab that would just fit into the North Hartland Fire Station and operate as both a pumper and a tanker.
and his rough guess was 600,000.
And that's just the first vendor that we.
So about 4 years short right now.
We have some trade-in resale value on the equipment that we'd be getting rid of to purchase that new piece of it.
You will be disappointed, but I don't know the number, but I'm sure we will be disappointed.
They're full of cheer.
Yeah.
You know, it's the holiday season, John.
And what was funny is when we sold that old forestry truck, we got more for that than we've ever gotten for a full-size fire truck before. It's just a weird market for, which maybe we can.
It's a
use
weird
again.
market, it's a weird market from what I understand. Everybody's looking for smaller trucks.
If you go for the combined truck, does it hurt your ability to shuttle water to where you need to have it?
This
You need to
is
disconnect from
this
it.
is a combo, so we can do either or.
Yeah, what we're looking at is something, is a large truck to be able to take the role of, kind of getting on a tangent, but we're looking at a a pumper tanker that can do at least what we can do now with our pumper and our tanker separately. And the market for small trucks is really, like if you did a tactical mini pumper, it would be for getting up these new driveways and like pushing water up to those, the trucks, like pushing water up to a small truck, you'd still have to do with these.
So if you have to shuttle to like a fire pond, you'd have to disconnect that big truck to shuttle back and forth.
Yeah, we do water on wheels. So tankers are a really critical piece of fire attack in Hartland because we have to put our water on wheels to get to where we need to get to because there's 13 fire ponds in the town, 10 of which are operational at any one time.
Okay. Well, thank you, and thanks for filling in the other pieces that fill in the hole here. Okay, well, let's go on to the new budget discussion. Last meeting, we heard from 2 departments plus the library, and there's some adjustments in here now. What else was adjusted?
Right, so there's been 3 adjustments since then. So one, the volunteer fire department number is included in this. Thanks, John. Thanks, Scott. We learned the week before Thanksgiving that dental insurance was increasing by 6%, so that's been adjusted. Sounds like a big number, but it's not really. $30 a year or so. So $30 a month. It depends on how we spec, but. And then we adjusted the Windsor County Sheriff's Office contract to be 40 hours a week.
Okay.
From what was 32 hours a week. Correct. And again, that was based on a conversation that I had with the sheriff.
So basically, our big adjustments are emergency services, fire department and
From
police.
From what we talked about last time. Yeah, to this one, right.
Okay.
Right. We anticipate there might be some minor tweaks to health insurance from a few employees in the coming weeks, but we won't know that until they submit all the paperwork. So, but those will be, kind of relatively small adjustments.
Okay. Any general or specific questions?
So just before you go, I don't know if you saw the December 1st letter came out today from the state. They're anticipating approximately an 11.9 or 12% education tax increase this coming year.
No, we did not see that.
Yeah.
It's a cheery piece of news.
So that's estimated, that's not Hartland specific, but that's their statewide estimate.
Okay. And again, I'm assuming that last year there was a large bailout to lower that cost of one time.
Correct. So this year's 12% is essentially 2 years of education property tax increases because they bought it down last year.
Yeah.
There's no bailout this year.
Yeah,
the letter just came out. I mean, I would not anticipate the same thing happening again this year.
Well, I hate to be critical of, well, what can we trim? What can we do to tighten up our budget?
So help me with the punchline. What's our overall increase?
As it stands right now, just about 5.7%.
Both budgets combined.
Correct.
In general?
6. Martin says 6.
Sorry, 5.965.
6.
6.
That's as close to 6 as I can.
General fund is like a little over 1%.
The general fund is at 5.31 on the newest. It's different than what you have. Mine's a little different because it's got the insurance changes in it.
The anticipated insurance changes.
Yeah.
Correct.
Yeah. So yes.
So what's the general fund?
General fund I have at 5.31%.
And highway is?
Oh no, you're right, Jim.
I'm
1.44.
like, no, Martin, you're wrong. The highway is just over 12.
Yeah. The
And
highway-
general fund is 1.2.
Correct.
And they average out to 6.
It's just 6,
Yes.
just below 6. Below 6.
So we've got the general fund fairly small increase,
Fairly small increase,
but we are increasing fire department appropriation,
correct.
and we're increasing policing.
Yep,
So how do we offset those expenses?
right, so the highway's going up, so highway's up 12% because we're adding that staff position.
Right.
That's
and
largely,
just general funds.
just general funds.
Right, so we
So-
get two big nuts that are increasing there.
Right.
But we came out fairly flat, so what offset those numbers?
So
You're
the,
trying to level fund the
Right.
budget?
No,
no, but
What are you offsetting?
I'm trying to understand how we got to 1% if fire and police are going up significantly.
right, so the reduction in the listers
Okay,
was a huge pickup in terms of the budget. And we had, again, some cost savings with changes to employees' health insurance, which add up pretty quickly. But again, predominantly it was the listers. The change in the listers office from what was essentially two full-time, or one full-time person in two 20-hour-a-week positions to one 20-hour-a-week position.
okay, that makes sense.
So I think we should ask the library, the rec department, and the fire department to go back and reduce their budgets.
You mentioned fire department, library, rec, and you did not mention highway.
Well, I don't know how we can do highway if all of the expense is for labor for staff person. We could ask that highway department as well.
So I thought the highway was 60 or 70% of materials, and only 30 or so percent was labor. So is there anything in that area?
Yeah, I mean, and I'm not trying to show favoritism towards the highway department, it's just, tomorrow we're supposed to get, 5 to 9 inches of snow, we don't know what's happened with overtime and things like this. So I guess we can ask them. The other thing is there has been discussion about taking 300,000 from the paving, that we've already removed that, and that was gonna go towards Quechee Road.
It's not being removed from the paving, that is next year's paving budget.
So we haven't even talked about the Quechee Road yet.
Right.
This whole,
And I understand that everybody worked really hard to come up with their budgets. It's just, I just think asking people to cut a couple of percent or so on their budgets, it's not going to dramatically impact what they might want to do, but it helps.
I'm with you. It's always good to tighten your belt. I think it's hard for the fire department because they don't have labor, right? Like you could cut a small amount out of your highway department simply by hiring that position in, but October instead of July.
There'd be, yeah, I think if we wanted to say, pick a percentage point, right? It could be a reduction, and we could look historically, like John was referencing. We've not been fully spending our guardrail budget every year. So maybe we can take that down, if it's $500 or $1,000, we can look at picking up, little bits of money, and we can anticipate cost savings by not hiring that, not filling that position on July 1st.
The other thing, in looking through the spreadsheet, and again, I'm not being critical, but the fire department has had the largest increase over the last 4 years than any other thing we've budgeted. It's almost doubled. So
The fire department appropriation.
yeah.
But
I get it, but
they got a surge of volunteers that need equipment.
yeah.
So that was one of the questions that I had with John that I referenced that email back and forth was, are we turning over turnout here, right? Or how many people are actually responding? Are we, are we getting more volunteers responding to individual events, so therefore we need more turnout here? Or is it
per person? Like
Right.
you have your own size. I mean, you're not sharing face masks.
right? You're not sharing face masks, right? Exactly. So that was one of the
You can't do that anyway.
right. So that was one of the questions that I had with John.
So the highway strikes me as a little, I'm sorry, the fire department strikes me as a little different, right? Because it's an appropriation versus a budget, right?
Can't hurt that.
I agree.
I think if we, in the spirit, and I'm agreeing with you, I think we should ask,
We're asking everyone.
ask everyone.
Yep.
Yeah, on that part, and to maybe ask John to come up with some suggested percentages. I'm not sure I'm prepared to sort of look at each group now and say, can you do 1%, 2%? Or,
Yeah, and I'm not either. It's just, what you hear in town is property taxes.
right.
And so what can we do with the small portion that we pay for our services, compared to others? But
I'm with you, but part of me says, why does town infrastructure have to suffer because school property tax is out of control? We're penalizing ourselves.
I think, Tim, we've been asking that, and we've been conservative for a number of years. We, as a select board, do not have the answer to that.
I think we should spend what we need to spend to do a good job.
I'm not disagreeing with that, but there's always a little wiggle room in budgets.
Right.
And all I'm saying is,
you're
just
right.
take a little of the wiggle out.
Yeah.
That's all. And I think also, we have a better case if we talk to the school board about this, to say, we've gone back and asked all our departments and others to cut their budget. We would like you to do the same.
Yeah.
And I feel as though we have a firmer ground doing that than just accepting wholesale whatever we were given.
Well, how much does that really affect the school budget when you cut your budget, but our money gets thrown into a pot and mixed back around with all the other towns in the state and thrown back at you? What are you actually saving? And that's the problem. They're not saving anything because there's somebody else who's absorbing it. So
2 years ago, when the school budget got voted down a couple of times, and you could go back and look at the recordings for the school meetings, but they basically stated, well, we can cut this amount of money, but it's only going to save you this amount on your taxes because the state is still taking their
still taking it.
Yeah, so it's the right thing to do. I think the impact is not going to be very substantial.
Right. So again, I want to focus on what we have in front of us. We can go as citizens and attend the school board meeting and make suggestions, but right now we have an overall budget. We've crept up to 5.999% increase.
Below 6. It's below 6. I think we can go back and look at taking the wiggle out, to use Tom's words, and getting the budget as proposed down below 5%. I think that would be a reasonable approach to take.
I think that's fine. Let's do it. And let's make sure we've got a good story about the money we're spending is, for big chunk for emergency services and keeping your roads plowed in the wintertime.
Okay. So I don't think we need a vote on this, but I want to make sure Trace.
I'm on board with it, and then no one wants to hear this, but I've negotiated before for contracts, and it's like when you cut the wiggle room out, and I agree with you, Tom, totally. Okay, I'm going to say yes to this, but when you negotiate your wiggle room out and the budget fails, then you really cut and it hurts.
Yeah.
So just understand that you've already trimmed out all the fat of this budget, and there's no place to go to next when you decide to do that. But I'm on board with it because I do believe exactly what you said. I think it's too high, and people are already concerned about this education budget. So,
Clyde, any thoughts?
Well, we have a mandated job to make sure that our town highways are safe and all the other services that the town provides are there. Mm-hmm. And if it requires tax increase, that's what it's going to be. But I guess you can try to cut some, but nickel and diming does not end up, we nickel and dimed the Quechee Road, and where did we set? $6 million.
No, I totally agree, and
We dollar and $5 the Quechee. There was no nickels and dimes in that.
I agree with that too.
So what we can do is we can look at we can break it down internally, so it's not just the general fund and the highway fund, but break it down into more detail to look at individual, whether it's departments or functions within the town, to reduce the budget a little bit and try to get it down to a more, well, I said 5%, and Martin gave me a suspect face, but I still feel confident that we can. That could be the goal.
He was marrying my face.
Yeah. So what we can
I ask, I'm happy to be the ogre on behalf of all of us with all of our names on it to make the request after Martin.
What do they say about shooting the messenger?
Not blanks.
My postal address is going to change real quickly. Okay, good. Well, so we're going forward, and if we make this request, it has to happen right away, because we're meeting next Monday again, and we're looking to wrap
But
this
are we giving
conversation.
targets or suggested targets? We're just saying, please.
I think that's what Martin and John are gonna do,
I
right?
can come up with suggested targets by
That's what
function,
Phil said.
basically.
That's what Phil asked.
Yep. So we can come up with that, and then ask folks to get it turned around relatively quickly, so we can talk about it again next Monday, and then by the 15th, the board can adopt.
Well, we'd have to adopt the next meeting.
We could adopt it on the 15th, the timing still works.
Oh, now I'm caught up. We're meeting on Monday?
You're meeting on the 8th as well.
Cancel those.
I'll
Excellent.
be zooming in, I'm not out of town.
Oh, well.
Didn't know we had a meeting, or I didn't want to know we had a meeting.
Or, yeah. Well, if you knew we were having a meeting on the 8th.
It's called blissful denial.
Yeah. It's a nice place to live.
Hey,
Okay,
Yeah.
we won't go into any detail there, it's Tom.
Okay.
So we're ready to move on?
Yes.
Okay. Then the next item under new business, the first item is the Hartland Town Plan. We had included in our packet the two land use and housing chapters. We talked last time about focusing, that we should focus on that. Dan Germain is with us tonight to help us understand and answer any questions.
I do have one kind of introductory question. There's also a document on corrections. Right? Those corrections were not made. They're just, you guys approved them, but they were never made in the document. Right?
I thought they were gonna be
They are made.
sent over to you, the document you have would be the correction, would include the correction.
You are correct. You're correct in that the corrections were never made
To the official
to the official document. They were,
documented in a separate document.
they are, right, they're using the same word a lot of times here. Yes, so we have a document of needed corrections, typos, things along, punctuation, things along those lines.
Did anybody have a chance to review that document?
No.
I never seen it.
It's in like the email with
Yeah,
all the other.
Yeah, I think you sent it out, it was sent out.
It was sent out,
Yeah.
it should have been
yeah.
given to you with the packets, whatever Two Rivers is called.
I thought Two Rivers was gonna take them in
I thought so
circles.
too.
So,
So we
they
can,
say about assumptions.
we can clarify that with Two Rivers, that they still own that document, because they own the actual town plan at this point.
Because at some point, we probably just need to say, before we do a hearing, we need to say, we agree with the corrections, make them, right? And then publish a document that's corrected, so we're not hearing the same issues again.
Right, so we can make those minor changes,
Yeah, there's nothing crucial.
Yeah.
relatively easily there. there's, Dan, how many chapters are there in the town plan?
There's a lot.
13?
I think it's 11. Well, and then there's the appendix.
And the appendices and the
then
definitions and the environmental science.
Right. Preface.
So tonight you have a relatively short, the housing chapter, and then the longer land use chapter, which I think had some more substantive changes to it because there were some changes to land use, the future land use map and land use designations, correct, Dan?
Yeah, we spend most of the time, the plan would say.
Dan, as I went through, there's references.
Shut your cameras off for some reason. Keep going.
To a few state of Vermont documents, but the one area that, as we talk about the village center and concentrating on there, I really don't know how we control the things you talk about where septic could pollute the groundwater and the like. So would that all fall to state regulations or?
Yeah, mostly anything, any business or even large-scale project has to get those kind of permits.
Okay.
And that's out of Act 250.
Okay. Yeah.
Yeah, we can't suggest anything in the plan that goes around those regulations.
Right, okay. But the key piece for me to think about it is that's the enforcement piece. Is if I'm building in the village center, I need to go to the state with approved septic.
Yeah. Anybody who has a project has to get a lot of permits besides that.
Yeah. Okay.
I just want to be clear, there are state permits outside of Act 250, right? Like they're not, it's not one permit program that encompasses everything, You could need a septic permit from the state. That would be very, very different. You can need a septic permit and not need an Act 250 permit.
Right. Okay. And there's reference to the Vermont Planning and Development Act as a guiding set of principles for development in more rural areas.
Yeah, well, my understanding, and I don't know a lot about this, is that the towns are being encouraged to allow more building in the rural areas.
Okay.
So that is, it's called Title 24, Chapter 117. That's the land use laws for the state of Vermont.
Okay.
That's what that is.
Okay.
It's just a formal name.
Yeah. And there were amendments to that.
Yeah.
We just wanted to reference in the town plans, because if you put it in there, then Act 250 knows you considered it.
We're intending to follow it. Yes.
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah, that's
Okay.
So, I don't know whether we want to, do an intensive review with this, or whether, this is what the planning commission worked on for a long time. I don't personally agree with a lot of many of the things, but if we want to just sort of move the process forward, maybe we just sort of leave it alone. There's a number of statements in here that kind of make my hair stand on edge, but
can't be much of a problem.
Right, exactly. It's a small problem. But again, just out of curiosity, this statement here says, slower growth has been due to a larger number of older residents who have built or restored large and expensive homes for both seasonal and year-round use. And the increased average age of residents and increased price of houses have changed the way growth has occurred in Hartland. But if you look at the demographics, people are staying here.
Yeah.
We're aging out. But I feel as though if you're over 55, it's your fault that our housing prices are expensive.
We can take personal testimony.
You know, and I think that that's a real misuse of statistics, to be honest with you. And there's so many other,
Yeah, I mean,
it's very simplistic.
Yeah, anything like that you're uncomfortable with.
No, I just,
It's not gonna have a,
it's
not gonna have a
it's not
bearing on
gonna
Act
have-
250 here.
Right.
So my major concern with this whole thing, though, is we talk about commercial development and so on, but we really have not set aside a significant amount of land where that can actually occur. That most of the commercial development is only going to be infill. And without any water, I wished the board had spent more time on North Hartland, because we do have a community water supply. And I think if we can get some density, that would be the place that we could get some density. But
Yeah, it would be, I don't
Say
think
love it.
there's much in there that would.
no, there's very little in there. And then finally, my old thing about the definition for industrial, and I haven't direct, but anyways, outside of that,
Yeah, we would never position.
I mean, given that the planning commission's looked at this, so this, you started with this question, right? Given they've looked at it for a long time, Two Rivers has approved it, we've had a chance to read it. You know, I'm not inclined to do like a line by line review. I'm more inclined to say, you know, the work has been done, it's been validated by Two Rivers. Let's get the corrections done and let's move forward.
So just one thing, and I think we may want to change this, under the rural area policies, especially if we want to, and it's on page 22, especially if we're trying to do zoning, it says here as one of their policies, accesses should be spread out to retain the rural field. A lot on a public road created in the rural area should have a minimum public highway frontage of 400 feet. That's a quarter of a mile.
Yeah, it's funny, I highlighted that as well.
That's not 400 miles. That's a lot.
It's not quite a quarter of a mile.
That's not a particular section I worked on
That's
with
40
I
yards.
agree with you, that's high, and if you know, that's the kind of stuff that if you want to change
100.
or catch,
1,200 feet.
you know, we can't claim that there was a lot of
520
every
feet.
line.
It's not a quarter mile, sorry, I was thinking yours.
Yeah, I was like, it was.
But 400 feet,
It's a big,
I'm not
it's
a
a
bad
big.
petition, but I ran the open
You know, if
corner
you-
in college. That's the only reason I know that.
if you have a 2-acre lot,
It's a lot of road frontage you have to get into a
you
house.
could have a 2-acre lot.
Right. I mean, so what we're trying to stop people from developing homes with a 400,
I'm not-
less than 400 foot road frontage, that would be,
I'm not-
But this isn't a regulatory document.
But you base your zoning on the land use.
That's right, and so the land use, it has to be, whatever you come up with for zoning should be consistent with the town plan, so if you have something in mind that you want to do, feel free to amend the town plan.
I agree with that, TK, that's a lot of road frontage to have a driveway access.
Well, look at what your son
What
would.
did it say in the prior town
It's
plan?
ridiculous.
Do you remember what it said in the prior town plan? Because I think this
I
sounds like
think
the
that,
number
I
that
think
changed.
that, and again, I don't know, but I think that section just sort of carried over. I don't think we changed anything about road frontages. We certainly did debate it, so.
But if there's something else that's not, I mean, unless there's other things that are blaring in there, this is how I feel about it. I agree with TK on the fact that we would need to get this thing rolling unless there's something that's really, really important in that document that has to get changed as an emergency. It's an improvement on the last plan. That's the first thing. And also, we're gonna have to do this again. This isn't gonna be the end of it for the rest of our lives here. This is gonna have to be represented in about another 5 years, I'm assuming.
8 years.
8 years?
Well,
So,
it's
we can.
we saw a little off that, but
You saw a little bit of it all, yeah. So if there's other things like you're thinking about North Heartland, being developed in that space,
No,
because of the water.
it's fine.
Could be then the next 8 years, we could try to get that worked in there.
But I think, Tom, the point is, as the planning commission begins working on a unified bylaw with Two Rivers, the town plan, like, if there are certain, like, immovable objects that within the town plan, like 400 feet of road frontage for a new lot, right? That has to be, any new bylaw would have to be built around to
Or
have that be
the
the minimum
town plan
standard.
gets amended.
Or the town plan gets amended.
And that, Dan's right, that number's been in there. for-
Town plan should be amended before you even.
In an ideal world, yes.
So that number's been in there since 2017.
So is this, was the data in here up to date?
I'm sorry,
Is the data in this, as was presented, up to date?
as much as we,
Well, I'd like to know where the hell you can rent an apartment in Hartland for $1,000. And that's what it says right here. The median rental rate is $1,085.
That's in the middle, right? You have something a little lower?
Well, I bet
50%
you ain't
lower,
got
60%.
nothing lower than
Well,
100.
most of that data is probably 3 years old. That's the earliest you're gonna get.
They came from the 2020 census.
Or maybe 2022, some of the.
I wouldn't worry about it.
Right, the data, Clyde, I think your point is valid, but I think we're working with, by the time we get the data, it's out of date, right? And as things have been increasing dramatically in the past 5 years.
yeah, that might be another
It-
carryover.
it's a
that's
challenge.
completely out of date.
Right.
So, Jan, I did not look, I have the whole report at home. You mentioned the appendix. Does the appendix define terms? I mean, under rural residential area policies, there's overall housing density should be medium density. And I made a note saying, what's medium density?
I think the best answer there is that we intentionally left it vague because we were, we had an eye on potential zoning, so whatever we want to do.
Okay, so if I approach it that way.
Yeah, so you're gonna find a lot of language like that, that was sort of vague, that we didn't want to pin down and, and tie our hands going forward in terms
Okay.
of language.
Okay. In a planning meeting a couple of Monday or Tuesdays ago with John, when we realized we needed to call the December 8th, we talked about a tentative schedule for a public hearing. And if my notes serve me well, we're looking at January 20th, which would be the second meeting for us, I believe, in the month. And
we set our hearing without checking with Two Rivers, and it turns out that they couldn't. So you might want to, if you want Two Rivers help, you might want to make sure
they're available.
Someone's available.
Okay. Yeah.
So the select board has to hold 2 public hearings. The first, with 15 days of actual notice, so always better to have 16 days. It can't be like the night of the 15th day. So if we wanted to hold the first hearing on January 20th, which would be the second meeting of January, that's a Tuesday because of the holiday. Because the 19th is a Monday, so the Tuesday would be the 20th. We could get the notice out, before the new year, which gives sufficient time. I believe it would behoove the board to set aside sufficient time for that public hearing. The planning commission hearing went an hour and a half.
Yeah, I was pleasantly surprised how short that was.
And the first hearing, I would anticipate being the longer of the 2 hearings.
Okay.
There's no specific time frame that you have to set aside before you can have a second hearing. I don't think you would want to hold it the next day, but if we did the 20th, Tuesday the 20th, then you could hold the second hearing, potentially the first meeting in February, which would be February 2nd.
Okay. You sure they don't have to be spaced?
They do not have to be. I chatted with the regional planning commission and I looked at the 4385. There's no specific time frame in
They
there.
just have to be warned, correct?
Right. You just have to warn. Both have to be warned 15 days.
So here, I think the schedule is fine. The risk is that something comes up during the 20th that requires us to consider and potentially take an action before we rehear the plan.
So there would be
Like, we have a
that-
meeting on the 20th,
Yep,
and, and there is, I don't know, no support for the town plan, people arguing against it, and there's some major issue. We'd already have the next meeting scheduled for our next meeting, we'd have no time to
Right, right.
review that.
Well, we can
So
always
if you-
postpone it.
right.
If you push it back, then we're running into town meeting.
We're running into town meeting. In an ideal world, you want to make any of
Roll
those,
the dice.
you want to make any of those large changes, industrial areas in North Hartland and things like that, prior to the first hearing.
Yes.
Oh, yeah.
Right.
Well, prior to the warning, I would think, because you're gonna have to publish this thing, so it's visible.
We should have this plan as a public hearing copy, so that when it shows up in the newspaper,
Yeah,
Right.
it's available.
It's available at the town clerk's office.
so we gotta get those corrections.
We gotta
done.
get the corrections in.
So Jim, are you saying that you don't think we can do that?
We have
on
like
the
3
20th?
weeks to get the
I
corrections.
think I'm happy with your dates. I think there's some risk. If Tom's right, we can push the second meeting back if we have to.
Yep.
And we have a meeting this Monday and then the following Monday?
Correct.
Just mark off every Monday. for the rest of the
20th and the,
Nope, but we have one before that too.
The 8th and the 15th.
The 8th and the 15th of December.
Right.
So the
What's the-
15th, we need to be looking at the articles that are, what's the first one?
So the warning.
Yeah.
January, 20 and February 2nd.
Well, hold on, you got one more.
Hang on. So 8th and 15th
Of December.
December.
Yeah,
Then you get January, which is gonna be the 5th and the 20th. Then you get February, which is gonna be the 2nd and the 16th.
17th. We're gonna put in the-
The 16th is a holiday.
Add one to 16.
It's going to be the 7th.
February 2nd and February
So it's not
17th.
There you go.
So,
Gosh, could we call each other by our clothes next time, so we don't look like?
I'm just staying at your house.
are you gonna talk to the Rivers about, see, they said they would make the corrections.
Yes, I will talk to the Regional Planning Commission to make sure that the corrections that were noted from the Planning Commission get made, the minor corrections.
But how about some of the things?
Right, so there was a list of other amendments or suggested changes that came from the Planning Commission hearing.
What about from tonight? You gonna send them to Two Rivers as well?
So like the 400-foot
There's
language
a
and
couple
things
other
like that.
things too, and I can send it to you.
But we
to look
haven't,
at.
we haven't had a discussion about is 400 right, wrong, or indifferent. Right, we can't just make one-off changes.
Why not?
If we're gonna make a policy change, we should vote on it.
Does it have to go back
It's
to the
not,
planning
it's not a
commission?
policy change, it's gonna be part of the document. You can decide when we get to it whether, you wanna vote on each change to the town
If we're
plan?
making if we're making a change, right? I mean, are we gonna come up with individual laundry lists? Or are we gonna agree as a select board what the changes should be?
Well, it sounds like we're kind of, by whole cloth, sending this back to Two Rivers with changes. So what I'm suggesting is say, we don't think 400 feet is acceptable.
But
It should
we're sending
be a
back
different,
corrections. I'm not sure that that's a correction, that's a change, right? It's been 400 feet at least since.
well, I won't vote for this with 400 feet.
You voted for it already when you.
Not,
when you
I
renewed the
voted to send it to
2017.
Two Rivers.
Right.
So
you renew the
you're saying
2017 plan, you
that,
vote.
then I want to go through the whole document then. We'll go line, but we'll go page by page, if that's how you want to. All you're suggesting is, we have no role in this, all we're going to do is take changes that the planning commission made, give them to Two Rivers, and that
Well,
any changes that
corrections.
we might, call them whatever you want, and any change that we might have, we're going to give them at a later date to Two Rivers?
No, I'm saying if we have changes, we should discuss them and agree to them as a board.
I just brought up, I have 4 things in here.
Bro, let's go through them real quick.
Okay, 400 feet is one.
So what should it be?
I would say 200,
No, my question.
150.
Can I ask a question about that?
Yeah.
So does it imply that there's more than one home or that you have less than X amount of acreage to build a house on with a 400-foot road frontage? Where did that come from? I mean,
It's been on the town plan for.
So there's reference in this that in the past, spaghetti lots are
Spaghetti lots,
very,
I read
very
about that,
narrow
yeah.
with very little frontage. And so what people would do would create very long, narrow lots.
Yeah,
And so that's where frontage comes in, because you really don't want that.
right.
And so you create frontage. Frontage should really be predicated on slope, access, lots of different things. Personally, I don't think that the number should be in the town plan at all. That's a regulatory thing. And so you can say appropriate frontage and take out 400
And deal with it.
at the zone, with the zoning. bylaw.
You do zoning. right?
Yeah, because there are other things like visual, your road vision. There's 250
Right,
feet from the driveway that you have to be able to see down the road so someone doesn't hit you. I know that you have to get that passed and
The other
culverts
thing
and.
that's in there, there's language about, I don't want to interrupt, but we are trying to encourage, and we've done this before, cluster development. And so that was one thing, if you spread out the frontage, that was probably in our thoughts that we were, it encourages people to put one driveway in for, so instead of, how, if you're gonna build 4 houses, build them with one driveway, and,
Instead of 4.
instead of 4 driveways, individual houses. That's just the way we, our opinion is.
Take over, what do you want to do?
Well, I'm trying to think of the most efficient way to address the changes and not going through them individually, in essence, line of policy by policy.
Well, I agree.
I think that this would be the most inefficient way to approach the town
Right.
plan.
I'm being difficult.
Noted.
I agree with you about the 400 feet. I think that's too much, but I also understand that helps to get rid of the spaghetti lot situation.
So insert
just-
appropriate.
So how about this?
Yeah.
Right now, the Regional Planning Commission is going through the town plan as proposed to identify areas that would be prohibitive to future bylaws, like red flag areas. Like we should address this before we move forward with this next project.
Or may apply for variance to that?
So
Variances are.
When will that be ready?
So that I don't know the answer to. They are working on that. I can tell you that they are working on that now.
Okay.
What my understanding is that they would like to take the planning commission changes and whatever changes we want to present to them and do it all at once and give us a
Correct.
final document.
Right. They have put in
They don't want an iterative process.
more than their time here to help us out. So we can take the document that they're producing that identifies those areas of concern for future bylaw, amend those areas, do targeted amendments to the town plan to those areas, or have a discussion about them, and then take that town plan to public hearing.
And if we incorporate the 1, 2, 3, or 4 things that Tom's talking about, then that would also come back.
I suspect Tom's comments will be captured by the Regional Planning Commission's review.
Right, and they may have comments on his comments, and then we'll sort of see the
What else do you
matrix.
have, Tom, other than the 400 feet?
Well, also, I just want to say, I think we're abdicating a little bit our role in this, but the other thing, and I just don't think this is true, under land use goals, policy recommendation, it says most new residential development takes place in village centers. That's not true.
No, because there's no land available to do it. You've locked up all the land in the village.
What page are you on, Tom?
16,
Can you read that again?
under land use goals. Most new residential development takes place in village centers.
I think we were thinking of apartments, but
That's not what it says.
well, and it's a goal, it's not a statement of fact that most new development takes place in village centers. We're trying to steer it to the village centers, especially dense houses.
To your point, your comments about abdicating your role here, I think that the intention was to adopt the 2017 town plan, readopt the 2017 town plan as a temporary stopgap to allow this process to play out. to do a full select board review of the town plan will take significantly longer.
I'm not suggesting that, I'm just trying to, there are some things that are either factually incorrect or from a land use policy perspective, you probably don't want to have it. And I'll go back to the 400 feet. The other one here is, there's a statement, it says, I gotta find it.
John, can you just refresh the camera again? Rose?
Just for what it's worth, Grace, while Tom's looking for that, this was happening at the last meeting too.
Yeah, and
I thought it was a one-time thing, but we should address it.
usually
On page 22, under rural agriculture and forestry area policies, paragraph number 2. So it says, residential subdivisions of parcels over 35 acres, creating more than 5 lots, shall be configured such that at least 80% of the original land is left in a contiguous undeveloped acreage.
Yeah, that was, I think that language came from Two Rivers because they're really concerned with the wildlife. corridors.
I get what they're trying to say, but it seemed 80% is just kind of an ambiguous number.
Right.
You know, we could say something where they use, a compact, they use density and so on. But again, it's just stuff that, so anyway, I'll shut up.
Will you, did you have one more?
No, I'm gonna shut up.
So
I think we were interested.
And I agree with that, especially if you see some of the people on the Hartland Quechee Road who are putting out agricultural fields in their space. So they have a farm that was all woodlot and they're putting it into farm field again like they were in the 1800s here. They're just restoring them. So if that's saying that if you have 35 acres and you want to have a farm and it's woodlot now, you can't put it back into field?
No, it's saying if you wanted to subdivide that 35 acres into 5 or more lots.
and that leaves you 7 acres to build houses.
To build up to 5 houses.
Yeah, right, yeah.
Not more than 5 lots, yeah.
So I think this is where the town plan is, the challenge is that it is trying to be used as a regulatory tool when it is not a regulatory, its intent is not to be a regulatory tool. Right, which is why we are moving forward with this second project that the planning commission will hopefully be picking up on Wednesday. To move forward with a unified bylaw to address some of these concerns. But again, I think that document that Two Rivers is working on will be informative to address some of your concerns.
Okay.
But unless we get that relatively soon, 20th is not.
So
So if we need, so I guess we can have a, sorry Phil, we can have a tentative date for the first public hearing of the 20th. If we need to push that to the 2nd, we can still get it done by town meeting, right? It would be nice to have this wrapped up prior to town meeting, just so we can be done with it for the time being, and then pick it back up again.
Yeah. There's some confusion on my part just with exactly the wording about what Two Rivers is going to change. So I really feel like we need to see that document. We need to understand, and it would be helpful if we could actually have a document, or it would be highlighted what they're changing compared to this document.
So there's 2 things. I think you're asking for 2 separate things that Two Rivers is doing.
The first one is I want it done rapidly, whatever it is.
Yeah.
I'm hearing you say that they're going to incorporate
The noted changes from the planning commission.
okay.
Yeah.
And those are changes.
Those are minor edits, typos, corrections.
Were they approved or disapproved by the planning
They
commission?
were voted on and approved by the planning
They
commission.
were approved by the plan.
Okay,
They just didn't want it.
No. They were not part of the document.
They were part of the packet.
They were not part of the public hearing document. These were,
That's true.
these were notes that someone on the planning commission took.
Yeah.
Okay.
But they did circle back, in fairness, and you voted that you accepted those
Yes, we were,
as changes.
we're on the, we.
And then you passed them to
Those
us.
kind of changes didn't happen.
Then they passed them to us,
I got you.
right, they passed them to us.
yeah,
So those corrections are now ours to decide what we do with them.
it's usually I'm the one that.
Right.
If you agree.
Right.
So also, I just want to make clear, we're warning a public hearing for January
Potentially January 20th.
20th. It's 15-day period. The document has to be complete by January 5th. Okay?
Right. We have 2 meetings between now and then.
I'm just saying, I'm just more directed towards observers.
Right.
Right, exactly.
Yeah.
It seems like a stretch at this point, but.
Yeah, I agree.
Right, so again, if we have to delay,
Potential
it depends on when
agenda.
Two Rivers can get us that document to highlight those changes.
The reality is, the next couple of meetings, we've got budget approvals, we've got
Right,
article approvals.
Right, we have other things on that.
you're spot on.
Right, that's why we're having a meeting next year already.
Yeah, and I think the second piece is, if you have asked Two Rivers, and the planning commission is aware of this, to look at the current town plan that we have before us with the idea of, that is it, the plan will be supportive of bylaws as we develop them. So that's very important.
Yes.
Okay. So I think we have to hold on and
Correct.
see this document. You know, there's not much we can do. We can toss more things around tonight, but I'm feeling that next time we look, they may be different. So.
Well, you have, I think you were copied, or John was copied on, you know, all the changes are written in a separate, you know, in a sheet.
Yeah.
With the recommendation that they be incorporated, but you can have you have the town plan and you have the recommended amendments.
Right.
So, you know,
But
they haven't been put into the plan.
They haven't not been put in the plan, and the other variable now is
That's what
looking
they
at
were
it
gonna
from.
do, right.
Yes, yeah. Okay, where are we? Are we ready to?
I'm kind of hungry.
Granted. Okay, Dan, thank you very, very much. We want to talk about the winter highway operation. John's included the document that's out on the town website. I don't see any changes.
No, it's for awareness.
Yeah.
Phil, so this, as we're now in, you know, especially starting tomorrow when we had a little bit of snow this past weekend, it's a good reminder that we have this document available on the town website from 2008, which outlines at a high level the winter operations, when we are sanding and plowing and how we are prioritizing those roads, and when we are not sanding, salting, and plowing. I think it's just to be clear, the expectation is that we don't have a bare road policy. It is winter. There will be snow on the roads. It will be slick at times. So please be aware and drive appropriately.
So how do you guys decide when you're going to summer sand or the?
So the road foreman will check the roads on a daily basis during the winter months. And if it is determined at that time that it is needed, he will make that call.
So this weekend, South Woodstock went out twice, West Windsor went out twice. I don't think we went out.
We did not. We spot sanded, I believe, Saturday afternoon.
You did.
Or Sunday. I don't recall which day it was.
Did some on Jennyville.
Right. We did some on Dennyville where it kind of flash froze. Right. And no offense to Woodstock or West Windsor, they have a different operations plan than we do. And
some areas get pretty much the same weather.
You know, using Jennyville Road as an example, certain spots on Jennyville were dry on Saturday and certain spots were icy. So I don't think that we can use other towns as an example of how we should be operating within our town.
I didn't think Saturday was bad.
The response.
There were spots that were bad. So
They're slow.
right, I rely on the road foreman to make that decision.
Yep.
That's part of his job and his role. Yeah, I think there was a gap in particular this past weekend where, folks might have wanted to call the sheriff's office and ended up having to call 911 to report icy spots. So we could talk about if there's a need for sanding, how that information flows through the town to the appropriate people.
So does anyone check voicemail, or do you guys have a voicemail?
Well, so that's the question I think is in front of us now is right now folks can email, folks can call, the state police can contact BJ. Other than that, it relies on the information flowing through me to the road foreman.
I don't think people should be calling the state police, but saying they want 200 feet of the road sanded.
Nor do I.
I don't think they should be calling BJ directly at his home either.
Absolutely not.
And I don't think that we should be.
Right.
Maybe Phil, maybe John. But I did have a thought, and you can throw it out if you want, about when I call businesses, sometimes they have answering services, and they page that business. I don't know if we could try it, and if it's just too much, then bail on it. And it would probably cost money to have an answering service for that gap, and we'd have to have a name for that gap in our issue. It's not 911, it's not the fire department, it's not the rescue squad, it's not this, that, and the other thing. There's just a gap there's a tree down on my fence, and it's from the town, and it's across the road, and I can't get to my house. Who do I call? It's 9 o'clock at night. The town office is closed. This place is closed. If there was some number that they could call that would leave a pager beep at BJ's house, or for him or for the town manager to be able to call the appropriate person to go take care of that situation. And there should be always somebody maybe on call, particularly this time of year, with a sander, in case there's somebody stuck or there's ice on the road that nobody can travel through at night. Just thinking that maybe you guys might agree or maybe you'll disagree. I don't know, but it's an idea. So
I think it's worth looking into how other towns handle that too. Like how does West Windsor handle?
But it's the same thing though. If you look at it,
after hours calls.
Right. So I think, Chris, we can look at I don't know the possibility, the feasibility of that. Costs, how it would look, but certainly something we can look into more.
And then maybe we put it on the next.
They tend to be high at the beginning of winter and then peter out as winter goes on.
I think also, people have to take personal responsibility. They need snow tires. They need, it's.
Right. Yes, but I do think that it's true. We can look into but I think that it's important for folks that that information flow, it's not direct to the road crew.
No.
Right. We all agree.
And Tom's right. Every year, same thing. You get 2 inches of snow. There's 15 accidents the first time it snows. And nobody has their snow tires on. No one's prepared for snowy weather. And
I think you just need a process, and the process has to be known that on a weekend, trees down in front of your house, you call this number and leave a message.
Sure. So we can.
Then somebody's got to
Can
check.
you have it forwarded from
I agree with that.
But that's the question. I don't.
Can you have it forwarded for your?
Right. I don't know if folks leave a message late, if there's a way to get it sent to me. Right. That creates I can foresee that being a problem as a single point of failure being me if I'm not here or I lose power or whatever.
Right. But then you hand off the backup to somebody else.
Do you have voice emails?
Yes.
So somebody leaves a message on your answering machine, you get it as an email?
On my cell phone, yes.
Yeah.
If they leave a message here.
If they leave a message here, it does not.
Stays here.
It stays here.
It dies here.
The phone system's 1905. So.
Yeah. So that's
you
what
could do the same thing here.
Right. We would have to. But as of now, that does not happen. We wouldn't get that message until 8 o'clock the next morning. Possibly 8:05. Depends.
Yes.
And I believe,
Can I say something?
Yes.
I never comment on the road crew because I think I'm partial, I'm married to one. But I would just like to say that, once that call gets to BJ, he is immediately calling. And if my husband doesn't answer, I get the call. So he's on it, and he's calling to all the guys to see who's ever closest and who can get out.
Yeah, it's the get the call to BJ that we're looking at right now, not his response, because I know that he's doing a great job there.
historically, they call the state police and the state police call BJ.
Right.
If it's a car accident, police get involved, it was Bill Barrows before, now it's BJ. That's where the first call goes to. If they hit a telephone pole or something, they call Green Mountain Power, they reach out to BJ,
Right.
and BJ takes it.
And sometimes it's the state police, and sometimes it's 911 because there's, or fire department. But in this case, there's a different hole there, and that one is transportation, and it's our town crew.
Like we say, the first storm's always the hardest. We
I'm
have
not gonna-
up to 3 inches of snow before they go out. Take care of the person, Sunday afternoon, that was a surprise.
I mean, you heard the definition of insanity.
Yes.
Okay. I picked up my cell phone to handle this complaint, and last year, same exact complaint was there, because we didn't do anything about it, and it's still the same hole. That's all I'm saying is that I'd like to see some kind of direct message or something being received from BJ if there is an emergency that should be done and taken care of by the town crew.
So we will look into it. I will say, to your point though about the same message happening year after year, that might still be the situation. Just because there's a request for sanding does not mean we will go sand or go cut that tree at that time. We prioritize and triage work as it comes into us. If it is determined that it's not worth or safe to send somebody out at 3 a.m. to sand that spot on that road, then we're not going to do that.
Right, I agree with that 100% too. And that has to be something that when BJ gets a message, he would have to say, okay.
Exactly. So I just want to
send somebody out
we're not
for this or not.
Just because you call does not mean we will go.
It's gotta be someplace for the messages to go.
Right.
But then somebody goes to see if there's messages that should be dealt with.
Yes, agreed. Yeah, I agree.
And more than one person that checks out.
If somebody's out, you need.
Let's get us that
you need
far.
backup for them.
Right.
Then if he chooses not to go there because of a specific reason, that's on him. It's fine.
We should get Trace a set of keys for the dump trucks.
Exactly right.
He's got a dump truck.
Yeah.
I got 2. I almost sanded the
I
road.
heard Trace wants the cell phone on overnights.
No, thank you.
Yes, but we will look into
He
it.
goes to bed at 8 o'clock.
He'd like to as well.
That's game's on tonight. I'm not going to bed.
This policy has bitten us when we run to 9 o'clock on a Monday night, and I've struggled to get home in snowstorms, because the roads are that part.
Well, they shouldn't have stopped at
So
Sky Hollow on the way home.
Yeah.
Oh,
Exactly.
Anyway,
Anyway,
we're open on Monday.
moving on, my dear colleagues, are we done with the winter operation? As I understand it, we're going
I've seen enough,
to
yeah.
explore some sort of technology solution for answering a number to flow, and then once again, clarify the information flow if we have something like that. Okay. Moving on, town manager update.
sure. So 3/4 pedestrian lights are still on track. We anticipate seeing them in the next couple of weeks. I reached out to them today.
Okay.
They are scheduled for delivery. So as soon as I have more information, that will become more available. We met just before Thanksgiving with the engineer designing the Dennyville-Desmore Hill culvert replacement. It's a challenging site, as we all anticipated. Currently, the 4-foot stone culvert is designed to be an 18-foot box culvert, which is going to have a significant impact on that parking area along Desmore Hill there. By impact, I mean that parking area will probably go away.
4 feet to 18 feet.
Right.
And it's the height changing as
It's the
well.
width.
Only the width.
It's the width.
That much water, huh?
That much water. It's the drainage area. There, we talked about maybe bringing it down into 16, but it's still going to be substantively larger. So it's a challenge.
But if you graded the road and added a foot of height, could you shrink that down even more?
I don't think no, because you typically are not allowed to go deeper into the stream bed. It's the width of the stream. It's
If you grade the road and have it gradually increase height, if you can get 12 inches higher, you can get.
I am not a hydraulic engineer.
This is what the engineers.
Yeah. So it's a challenging site. At this point, we're still we're doing the design. We think we'll have it done and wrapped up maybe at the beginning of the new year, and then using that to build a case for funding from V-Trans or other.
I'd love to see a sketch, like how do you go 18 feet wide across, you'd have to go right across Densmore Road.
You go basically the parking area that's on Densmore Hill as you turn the corner there. That's all going to go away. That's all going to become stream bank there to build enough capacity there.
It's wider than I think it is.
Yeah,
It's not very wide right now.
it is not. It is not very wide right now.
No.
And the problem is it backwaters when both brooks are high, right?
Yeah.
Water is back.
It's a chute.
flowing.
There's no lateral disbursement of that water, so it's all.
It just rolls over the top, right?
Right. So Dan, Jermaine, and I met with Two Rivers just before the holiday to talk about the Unified Development Bylaw kickoff project. Hopefully they'll have their kickoff meeting in January. The Planning Commission's meeting on Wednesday to talk about it. So hopefully that will continue to move. Tree removal at the Weed Road Cemetery is tentatively scheduled for next week. They said snow wouldn't be an issue, so we'll continue to track that down and make sure that gets done.
You doing it from the neighbor's property or from the road?
We're doing it across the neighbor's property.
Even that big pine?
The big pine and all the ash and a couple of other dead pines back there as well. So it's been noted that there is a disparity in benefits being provided to town of Hartland employees and Hartland Public Library employees. I don't think there's anything to be done to address it, but I wanted to bring it up for the board's attention in terms of, paid holidays and things like that. So just for an awareness.
If I can just add some background, we have an employee personnel policy that each employee signs, and the library employees sign it. But the library has an additional personnel policy, which then has created this discrepancy. And that policy is managed by the library trustees. So there's an inherent conflict there, and we don't have a good answer.
Can we just put it on the ballot and suggest that the voters standardize us on one benefit package?
I think that we can't do that because the trustees and the select board operate as independent bodies. So
The town is a single body.
Sorry?
The town as a whole is a single body, so can't the town decide?
I think that the board of trustees has singular authority over the library. I don't think we can change that. So again, there's no action needed here, but I think it's worth noting that there's some, not tension is not the right word, but there's an awareness that there's a disparity between what would seem to be town departments or functions. So, and that's it. Relatively short gap between meetings.
Okay, future agenda items, we have the budget that we have been kicking around and we'll come back. We have the town plan. We have town meeting preparation. The highway policy, we should have the unified policy coming back and we'll be able to do it. And then we need to be agreeing to our plan for the Quechee Road. So what are we going to be doing at town meeting? So on that part. I also checked capital plan to try to see if we can possibly come back before town meeting to have that done. Okay.
That's largely in your court, right? You just need to flush out a few projects on there.
Exactly, and there was an email I sent to you all maybe a week and a half ago that had an outline for the next few meetings. Well, apparently Tom didn't see it, but maybe everybody else did.
I saw it. I didn't really read it very carefully and don't remember it.
Okay.
I saw it.
I'll make sure I send it again.
Well, and that's why I was just reminding you. Okay, all right.
There's a meeting on the 8th, right?
There's a meeting on the 8th. Please show up next Monday.
Okay, correspondence.
There's just a letter from V-Trans acknowledging the receipt of our letter requesting the traffic study at Four Corners.
Oh, good. And of course, they're going to have an action plan.
After they do it will be added to the agenda of the upcoming traffic committee meeting, currently scheduled for April 8th, 2026.
Okay. Okay, so get your placards out. We're going to Mount Hillier or wherever they are.
We will be notified of the date and time, and we are invited to attend and provide testimony.
Great. Okay, we have an executive session this evening. Help me with action or no action.
I think we want to take an action, if possible.
That's our.
Yes, I'll make a motion that we move to executive session under 1 V.S.A. 31383 to discuss the employment or evaluation of a public officer or employee.
I'll second that motion. All in favor, say aye. Aye. Okay, let's take a 2-minute break before we
So we just exited executive session. Our current contract with our town manager will be expiring early next year. So I make a motion that we approve a new contract for our town manager effective on January 1, 2026.
I'll second that motion. All in favor?
Aye.
Say aye. Motion passes. Congratulations, John, you have a contract.
Thanks.
Signed it yet?
A motion to adjourn.
Which,
Yeah, I'll make a
which
motion.
copy are we signing? Anybody have a copy to sign?
Trace, I think, had a clean copy.
I got a clean copy.
We'll use Tom's.
All right.
Okay.
All right.